Hi, this is Tom Mira from World Class Coaching with another in our series of animated drills. This is one of my favorite environments for working on shooting. It's very basic, simple to set up, but there are so many different progressions that you can use off of this that it's one that I find myself using time and time again with my teams. It's from our Training Creative Goal Scorers book, and I'll put a link to that on the video so you can check that out if you're interested. But today I'll show you 3 different variations that you can use with your teams to put them in realistic game situations so that when they're working on shooting in practice, then you're going to get the greatest transfer of training from what you're doing on practice day to what you're doing on game day. So the way this is set up is that we have 3 lines of players and each player has a ball. Now you can decide how far from goal you want these players to start. That's going to be dependent upon their ability and their age. I like to use the lines on the field as a good gauge for any age group I'm working with. So if I'm working with teams that are playing 11v11, then this is going to be an 18-yard box, and we're going to set up, a good distance from that. So we may be 25, 30 yards from goal when we set up. If I'm working with young players, I'm still going to keep it the same relative distance from goal. So, say this box is only 14 yards. So then we're going to be another 5 or 10 yards from that. So we'll be a bit closer than we would with older players. So using the lines on the field is a great way to keep your exercises specific to your own players. So if you're lucky enough to have a field that's already lined out for you and you've got those markings right there, great. If you don't, then I'd encourage you to at least know those distances so that when you set up your exercises, you can set them up so that the players are seeing similar pictures to what they're going to see in the game. Now, I start this exercise with the players in line 1 dribbling usually just inside the top of the penalty area. So they're dribbling in there, and then we're going to have a shot from inside the penalty area. So we're taking a shot there, and we'll make that line a dotted line to indicate that shot. And so as soon as the player dribbles and shoots, then they're going to turn, and they're going to support the player in line number 2. All right, so they're going to turn here. Player in line number 2 is going to immediately make a pass into their feet. Passes made into their feet, and then that player in line number 2 is going to show for the ball. Now, depending on if they're right-footed player, they're left-footed player, they just want to shoot with their right or left foot, is going to determine which side they run to. So if we have a player who is right-footed here, they're going to make a run into this space, and they can receive the ball on their right foot. Of course, you want players working on both feet, so you may require them to switch every time. You may require them to say, okay, we're going to do all right-footed shooting now. We're going to do all left-footed shooting. That's up to you. But the key there is if the player wants the ball on the right side, they need to make a run and ask for the ball on that right side very early. So as soon as they pass it into player 1's feet, they're going to make a run to that right side to indicate that's where they want it, or a run to the left to show for the ball there. So the ball's played into that space, and now, again, we're taking a shot on goal. And as soon as that player takes their shot on goal, then the next action is for them to turn, and they're going to play 1v1 with the player in the 3rd line. So by turning quickly here and going 1v1, so now the player in the 3rd line is going to dribble and try to beat that player, player number 2, and they're going to try to beat them on the dribble and find a shot. One of the great things that I really like about this setup is that it always forces the players to think about the next thing. So not only do they need to take a good shot or make a good pass, but then as soon as that action's completed, now they need to think about the next action. So they can't, be wasting their time standing there and watching their shot or admiring the beauty of their shot, which is what I'll say to the players sometimes. As soon as you hit that shot, now you've got to think about the next thing. So what's your next action? Your next action may be to support your teammate, or your next action may be to defend in this case. So we're going 1v1 here. So in this basic setup, we've got a dribble and shoot, which a player is going to do if they've got space and time, or combine with a player near the top of the penalty area and take a shot. Or obviously 1v1s is something that happens all the time. So we're looking to train the player to take that defender on 1v1, go at them quickly and find a shot, either dribbling to one side or the other. Obviously dribbling to the inside is going to create the best angle for them to shoot. Perhaps they're right-footed and they're going to take shots from here. depending on the position of the goalkeeper, we're going to want them to take that shot far post or to the open space, just depending on how the keepers position themselves. So that basic setup will allow the players to get those 3 different types of situations handled all in one rotation. After that rotation, the player from line number 1 would get a ball and join line number 2. Number 2 would move to 3, and 3 would get a ball and go to line number 1. So they're getting a chance to go through all those movements and practice all those movements within this exercise. So now we'll get rid of these extra lines so that we can talk about the next thing here, which will be creating some options for the players so that it's not always predetermined what's going to happen. So we make it a little unpredictable to start with, and then we'll build it up from there. So again, I make the first one a dribble and shoot. I like to have that one be a constant. I want them to, get the opportunity to shoot as often as possible. So making one line just a dribble and shoot is a good way to do that. So we'll make that again a dribble and shoot. Now, as soon as they are completing that, now we're going to go 1v1. So this player is going to turn and defend. Now, to begin with, you can say you defend the player in line number 2 and play 1v1 with that player. You could also say that the defender can show in front of either one of these 2. So that way both lines have to be ready to go. For the sake of this example, I'll just have the player go to line number 2. So now they're going to take that player on and they're going to play 1v1 there. So as soon as they've played 1v1, they've beaten that defender, gone past him or her, and taken a shot. We'll just add that in. Now the next action is the one that's the unpredictable action as well. You're going to allow that player with the ball in line number 3 to decide who they pass to. So as soon as this action is completed, you have 2 defenders on the field. Basically, you have 2 players on the field, and the ball can be passed in to either one of those players. So we'll just put an extra player here showing for the ball. Let's find our field players. And we'll have a player show for the ball. Here, field players are up top, obviously. And they're going to have that player there. And with these, you can even make the players kind of change their opacity. You can change their, how dark they are. So it makes it good for your exercises if you want to, for example, if you want to make it so that you're indicating where that next player is going or what that next action is happening. You can change that. And so by selecting the opacity there, then we just make that player a little lighter. So you can see that that's the player that has just moved in, and we'll add another one as well. Duplicate that player. So we have 2 players here, one that was there, one that was here. Now the player in line number 3 can choose which player they pass to. So let's say they're going to pass to the player that's farthest forward, which would make sense. We're going to try to make the pass that gets us closest to goal the quickest. And so now we're playing 2v1. So this player that did not receive the pass has got to move into a defensive position if they can to try to stop the shot. If they can't, then it's up to the goalkeeper to stop the shot. But I like the decision making in this for player number 3 to decide who they're going to pass to. Occasionally you'll see a player, pass the ball into this player. And so now we're 2v1 and we have a defender that has to be beaten in order to take the shot. And then we'll talk about, choosing the right pass. That really the best pass is to play it into that player closest to goal so that we can go directly to goal and have a shot. So it's a good teachable moment to do with the players. Now, the next thing I'll do, and we'll just get rid of these lines, is I'll often add a 4th cone. And by adding a 4th cone, now we create some different angles for our shots. So we'll just put another one down here, duplicate that. And a line of players will be back here on this last cone on the end line. And we'll put a player there, and we'll flip them around. Face the other direction. Now these players have a soccer ball as well, so we'll put a ball at their feet. Get one selected here. And duplicate that. And so every player here will have a ball at their feet as well. And maybe you've got 3 players down here on this line that are all prepared We'll put 2 here to start with just for brevity, just so that we can see what happens. So now you will have this first player dribble and shoot as we did before. And now with the second player, what we might do is have that player then play a ball, an easy pass across the 6, so that the player that just took the shot from the top, near the top of the area, then has to come in and finish a closer shot. So we've got a shot more for power, and then we have a shot that comes in after that, a pass that comes in after that can be finished with more finesse by this player. So you've got 2 different, types of shots that we're taking here. Maybe this one is with your laces, and this one's with the inside of our foot. And we should really make that a solid line, since they're going to run in and finish that one. And they're going to take a shot here, so we'll add that shot at the end and make this one a dashed line so that you can see that we're finishing that one. And then with this one, we're going to go ahead and make that a solid line, since you can see that that's a run by that player. Oh, we flipped that around. So now we've made that the running line. And so after that occurs, then the next thing we'll have is a 1 versus 2. So now we're going to have the player that is waiting here, and we'll add a dribbling line for that player. The player that's waiting in line number 2 is going to come out, and they're going to play 1 versus 2. So we'll have the player that just took the shot along with the player that and they took 2 shots, didn't they? They took one from the top and then that one inside of the foot finish. And then this player will come out, and now we're 1v2, and we're looking for an opportunity to try to go to goal and score 1v2. The final action would be of the player in the third line, and that player will dribble onto the field and pass to any one of those other 3 players. And so that player that they pass to is now their teammate. And so now we're playing 2v1 or 2v2, I should say, against the remaining players. So again, it's about, picking the right pass for this player, trying to get an opportunity to shoot and score on goal, while the other players on the field have to react to who's become the attacker and who's the defender. So there's a lot of thinking in this activity that I really like. Either we're thinking about the next pass or the next action with the basic setup, or we're thinking about, are we attacking or are we defending when we start to progress it and put more decision making into the exercise. So I hope you like this exercise. It's one that I really like and my kids really enjoy doing. So give it a try and let us know what you think. Thanks a lot.